Little Red Riding Hood. Once upon a time, deep in the forest, there was a village. In this village, in a cute little house, there lived a little girl. Her grandmother had stitched a red cloak for her which had a little hood. She loved this cloak, and whenever she went out to walk in the village, she would wear this cloak with her hood up. And everybody would say, "Oh, how pretty!" And they started calling her Little Red Riding Hood. One day, her mother said, "Little Red Riding Hood, your grandmother is sick. I have made this basket of food. Can you go give this to her?" Oh, she was very happy. Red Riding Hood said, "Yes, of course, mother. I would love to see grandma. I will take this basket of food to her." So she put on her red cloak and she took the basket of food and skipped into the forest. She wasn't worried that she would lose her way because she always knew how to get to her grandma's house. So off she went, skipping and humming a tune to herself. Then on the wayside, she saw a bunch of flowers. Beautiful flowers. She stopped and she smelled it and said, "Oh, Grandma would love to have these flowers. I'd better pick some for her." So she bent down and started picking the flowers. And then she saw this great big shadow. Who was that? She turned back to see a big wolf. Now, Red Riding Hood didn't know he was a big bad wolf, and she quite forgot what her mother told her, not to talk to strangers. So she said, "Hello, how are you doing?" And the wolf said, "Where are you going, little one?" Red Riding Hood answered, "My grandmother is sick. I'm going to give her this basket of food and some flowers." "Okay. Where does your grandma live?" "Oh, she lives down there, right down there. She's very close. She's got a little house there. I'm going to visit her." The big bad wolf was very hungry, but he didn't want the food in the basket. He wanted to eat Red Riding Hood. What did he do? He said goodbye to Red Riding Hood. Red Riding Hood said, "Bye. Thank you for talking to me." And she skipped on her way to her grandmother's house. Now the wolf quickly ran down the shortcut he knew, and he came to grandma's door. Quietly, he opened the door, and inside he saw the grandmother in her bed. He jumped inside and with one big swoop took grandma by the legs and he swallowed her in one big gulp. Then he got into bed. He put on grandma's cap, her nightcap, and he put on her glasses, and he got into bed and pulled up the covers up to his chin. And he lay there, waiting for Red Riding Hood. Little Red Riding Hood skipped and hummed her way along. She came to Grandma's house and she opened the door. She peered inside and she saw Grandmother lying on the bed. "Hello, Grandma. I've brought you a basket of food and some flowers." "Little girl, come closer. Let me see you." And Little Red Riding Hood walked closer into the house. Then she noticed something strange. "Grandma, what big eyes you have." "All the better to see you, my dear," said the wolf. "Come closer." And Little Red Riding Hood walked closer. Grandma, what big ears you have, she said. All the better to hear you with, my dear. Come closer, said the big bad wolf. And Little Red Riding Hood bent closer. Oh, Grandma, what big teeth you have! All the better to eat you with, my dear. And out jumped the wolf. Little Red Riding Hood screamed in fear. But the big bad wolf jumped on her, grabbed her, and swallowed her. Now, there was a hunter in the forest, and hearing the scream, he quickly ran to Grandma's house. And inside, he found the big bad wolf sitting on the bed with his tummy so full. He knew something was wrong, and the hunter grabbed the wolf by his legs, and he hung him upside down and he shook him till Little Red Riding Hood popped out of his mouth, and out popped Grandma also, and all three of them chased the wolf out of the house, out into the woods, over the hills, and far, far away. Grandma and Little Red Riding Hood went home happily. Little Red Riding Hood had learned her lesson well. She never stopped to talk to strangers again. She was very careful and always listened to her mother.